Welcome to Product X, the show where we explore unknown tech and decode future unicorns. I'm Rena. Today we're diving into a fascinating development in the AI infrastructure space. Mountain View-based Bespoke Labs just closed a massive $40 million funding round, and the investor list reads like a who's who of tech royalty. Wing VC and 8VC led the round, but what really caught everyone's attention is that Jeff Dean from Google AI, plus angels from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta, all put their own money in. They're not building another LLM. They're creating what many are calling a matrix for AI agents, a virtual sandbox where artificial intelligence can practice navigating real-world enterprise complexity. Vivian, want to kick us off?
Hey, Rena. Thanks for having me. I'm Vivian, a senior angel investor at Pre-Angel Fund, and I've been watching the AI infrastructure space pretty closely. Honestly, when I saw Jeff Dean personally investing in this, it told me everything I needed to know about where the smart money thinks the next bottleneck is. Super excited to dig in today.
Hey everyone, I'm Nolan. I spent years as a systems architect at a couple of big tech companies in Silicon Valley, building large-scale distributed systems. This Bespoke Labs thing is honestly one of the most interesting technical pitches I've seen in a while. So glad to be here.
So here's the central puzzle. Today's AI agents can write code and research like nobody's business, but the moment you ask them to work independently for 3 days, navigating dozens of microservices and Slack communications to fix a massive bug, they just crash. Why is that? And what is Bespoke Labs actually building? Let's get into it.
Here's the thing. We've hit a wall with high-quality human data. LLMs have basically consumed and squeezed dry everything humans have ever written. The old training paradigm, hiring armies of people to write answers for QA tasks, doesn't scale to long-horizon workflows. You cannot pay a senior programmer to spend 3 days recording every step of fixing a cascading microservice failure. It's economically insane. What Bespoke is offering is essentially an industrial-grade synthetic validation environment. It's like flight simulators for pilots. You can't just show them photos of airplanes and expect them to fly a 777. Capital is betting that whoever controls the most realistic training environments will have the throat of all frontier AI labs in a stranglehold.
Exactly. And from an engineering standpoint, the challenge is even deeper. When an agent operates autonomously over days, you're dealing with a Markov decision process where rewards are extremely delayed. The agent modifies a line of code at time t, but the payoff might not come until thousands of steps later. If the environment is fake or lacks internal logic, the entire reward function collapses. What Bespoke does is take actual snapshots of real enterprise codebases, microservice architectures, running logs, and even Slack threads, then encapsulates them into isolated container clusters that can be infinitely reset and time accelerated. That's not simple mocking, that's a full digital twin.
Right, and I'd add that this creates an incredible moat. Some competitors are still using thousands of outsourced workers to manually generate training data. That's brute force and doesn't scale. Bespoke's approach is fundamentally different. They use code to generate environments and algorithms to optimize algorithms. The marginal cost of each additional simulated task keeps dropping, which is exactly the kind of SaaS business model that makes investors really happy.
You mentioned the GEPA optimizer earlier, Nolan. Walk us through how that actually works, because that sounds like the secret sauce.
The core innovation is treating agent policy search as a genetic algorithm problem. They spawn hundreds or even thousands of agent variants simultaneously, let them evolve through natural selection within the simulated environment, and search for what's called the Pareto frontier. That's the balance between execution cost and task accuracy. The key insight is that this is a high-dimensional search space that no human engineer can navigate manually. We used to tweak prompts by hand, which is essentially guesswork. GEPA automates that entire process, and it does it continuously as the environment evolves.
And that's where the capital logic gets really interesting. As AI capabilities improve, the simulated environments need to match that complexity in real time. It's an arms race. If you can make the environment harder faster than the agents can solve it, you always stay one step ahead. That positioning is what makes Bespoke not just a vendor, but potentially critical infrastructure that every frontier lab will need to depend on.
Hold on, though, there's a real risk they need to watch out for. If the simulated environments are too narrow, you get simulator overfitting. The agents learn to game the synthetic world but can't transfer those skills to the messy, chaotic reality of actual production systems. The entropy of real commercial environments is essentially infinite. keeping the synthetic environments always one step ahead of the agents without creating that overfitting problem. That's the hard mathematical puzzle they're going to have to solve with this $40 million.
That's a great point. Let's shift gears and talk about the competitive landscape. How is Bespoke different from what else is out there?
Most players in this space are still operating with the old paradigm, human-labeled data at scale. Think of the scale AI model, but applied to agent training. It's expensive, slow, and hits a ceiling quickly. Bespoke is the first company that's truly gone research first. They're not just a service provider. They're actually publishing cutting-edge work. Their terminal benchmark is becoming the industry standard for measuring agent capabilities, and their open-source open thoughts reasoning dataset has been downloaded over 500,000 times by teams at Meta and Amazon. That academic credibility is what convinced Jeff Dean and the Frontier Labs to bet on them personally.
The research-first positioning is smart from a technical standpoint, too. When you're building infrastructure that other AI labs depend on, trust is everything. If you want Anthropic or OpenAI to use your environment for testing their next-generation agents, they need to believe you're not going to leak their proprietary data or techniques. By being open-source contributors and academic leaders, they've essentially pre-qualified themselves as safe partners. It's a brilliant strategic move, not just a technical one.
I agree, but I'd also say that credibility only gets you in the door. The real question is whether they can execute at scale. Building one digital twin is impressive. Building dozens of them, each with different enterprise architectures, and keeping them all current. That's an operational challenge that a lot of research-first companies stumble on. The next 12 months will be critical to see if they can transition from cool technology to actual repeatable product.
We're going to take a quick break from the deep dive and do a lightning round. Quick fire questions, short answers. First one. What's the one thing about Bespoke that nobody is talking about but should be?
The talent density. Their founding team isn't just researchers. They've actually built and shipped large-scale systems at places like Google and Meta. That's rare in this space.
For me, it's the compute economics. People underestimate how expensive it is to run these simulations at scale. The question isn't whether it works. It's whether the cost curve makes sense for their customers.
If you had to bet, will AI agents actually achieve human-level autonomy in complex enterprise tasks within 5 years?
Within 5 years, probably not fully autonomous. But we'll see agents that can handle significant portions of complex workflows with human oversight. The sandbox problem has to be solved first.
I'm more optimistic on the timeline, actually. Once you have a working simulation infrastructure, the learning curve is nonlinear. I'd say 3 to 4 years for meaningful autonomy on well-defined enterprise tasks.
Fun one. If Bespoke Sandbox could simulate any fictional environment, what would you personally want to test an AI in?
Honestly, a full-blown startup. Let an AI try to go from zero to product-market fit in a simulated market with simulated customers, competitors, and investors. That would be fascinating.
I'd go with a space mission control center. Real-time multi-system failures, ambiguous data, high stakes. That's the ultimate test for autonomous decision-making under uncertainty.
Last one. Thumbs up or down on the $40 million valuation?
Thumbs up, given who's backing them and what they're building. It's expensive, but if they capture even a fraction of the market, it's worth it.
Thumbs up for me too, but with a caveat. It's contingent on execution. The technology is real, now they just need to prove they can scale it.
Vivian, give us a one-sentence summary of why Bespoke Labs matters.
Bespoke Labs is essentially building the flight simulators that every AGI pilot will need to train on, and whoever controls that training infrastructure controls the pace of AI progress itself.
Nolan, your one-sentence take.
They're solving the hardest unsolved problem in AI development. How to give agents a place to fail safely so they can eventually succeed in the real world.
That's a perfect ending. Thanks to Vivian for the capital market perspective and Nolan for the hardcore technical breakdown. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of AI training infrastructure, hit subscribe and join us next time on Product X. See you then.